right, welcome to East Carolina University. We are up here on College Hill. We are in the new brew house and new environment. We've got folks from Campus Living that are going to be here to talk about ECU Moving, which is coming up next week. Right here to my right, we have Bill McCartney. He's the Associate Vice Chancellor for Campus Living. Next to him, we have Bailey Steckbauer. She is the Coordinator in Gateway East, and then the Director of Housing Operations, Aaron Lucier. I'm going to step aside and throw questions to them, and for the next little while, we'll be here to answer questions too. So if you have them as you're watching in the live edition, you can put questions or comments in the comment box. We've got Dave Hilbert with Campus Living. We've got Emily Lynn Adkins with Parent Programs, all here to kind of field your questions. And if there are any URL or links that we mentioned throughout this, they'll put them in there so that you can find them. If you're watching this, the archived edition, go ahead and put your questions in there anyway. We'll still have folks that are monitoring, and we'll get back to you as we go. So let's just get it going. Bill, I'll start with you, and we'll work our way down. Move-ins next week. We've got thousands on their way coming, parents and students. Talk about your initial thoughts with that.
We can't wait for you to arrive. That would be our first initial thought. And one of the things that you have to think about as a family is making sure you're prepared and making sure that you make this as easy as possible for yourself. And you do that actually long before you leave home by packing in smaller boxes, by making sure that you're organized, making sure that that outfit that you're going to wear does not include 4-inch heels.
Bailey?
I think of excitement, and then I also think about the transition into our residence halls and what is your first year students experience going to be in our residence halls, and how we in Campus Living help with the transition and getting the students involved and connected at ECU.
Aaron?
For me, it comes down to a lot of logistic things. We've sent a lot of information to your students, so if they've said, hey, I haven't heard anything about move-in yet, have them open up their email account or visit our website, and our website has a special tab just specifically talking about move-in with lots of information to get you started. But review that as a family, so it's not just one person. So if they walk over and start the check-in process, that you guys as parents or the student doesn't know what's going on because you got momentarily separated.
You mentioned that ECU email account, right?
Yes.
You're sending everything to not to their Gmail or their Yahoo or something else.
Yes.
Check
Surfer Girl 49 is not getting all these. It's going to their official ECU email address, and a lot of information's there. But parents, if you don't want to really bother them about it, almost everything we've sent is in one form or another on that move-in page on our website.
And there are also a lot of great information resources on the ECU homepage and the Campus Living homepage. One of them is your scheduled hours, and that's very important. Aaron, I want you to talk about that. There's primary move-in days depending on where you live, maybe even what floor you live in that specific hall. Talk a little bit about making sure and the importance of knowing which day and time they're supposed to come.
Yeah, our primary move-in days of next week are Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. All three of those days have students arriving at the Hall of Fame as part of the Minges Complex. The Smith-Williams Center is the other name, you'll hear about it. And that check-in will be centralized at that time. And there is very specific windows. So you basically take where you live in the building and your building, and you pop it into the schedule, and it will tell you some of the buildings are just wide open because they're smaller buildings, or the floors don't matter as much, but particularly the high rises, you really need to come in your very specific window time. And that's when you arrive at that facility up there. And after that time, if you can't come during that time, there is alternatives listed on that schedule that allow you to either do early check-in, one of our evening check-ins, or what we call our late check-ins, which is not really late, it's just after the primary check-in time. And that is, the late check-in has no additional charge for it. The early check-in and the evening check-in have a small fee attached to it.
Okay, and so give me an example. Bill, first of all, talk about why that's important. Why do we do it so that the floors, for instance, on that Wednesday, floors 4, 7, and 10 in Green Hall go at one time, where 3, 6, and 9 go. Why do you guys strategically do that?
One of the things you have to understand is that move-in is nothing more than organized chaos. We will have, during that 3-day move-in time, roughly 12 to 13,000 vehicles with families as they attempt to move onto campus. And so what we're trying to do is even out the flow of people so that everyone has a better experience. So we have limited and specific groups of people to specific times so that they can have the best experience possible. It's really important, as Aaron said, you need to come during your established time. If you come early, you will be asked to wait until your established time. So coming early does not help you. Matter of fact, it probably will frustrate you and frustrate all those around you. And so please stay within that window or any time after your window.
Good.
And Mr. Bill mentioned that we have a lot of cars coming, and so I think it's really important that once you go to Minji's, you're going to pick up your key. You're going to get the information of how to get to your residence hall, and really, once you get to your residence hall, we want you to unload your belongings and then move your car to the designated area to allow the people behind you to move in as well.
Yeah, it keeps that organized chaos a little more organized as much as we can.
Our buildings are landlocked in ways that a lot of campuses aren't, and there's limited parking near them. So it's really important that cars come in, they unload, and those cars move out so more cars can come in. And we can only do that with your help and with your family's help when you arrive on that day.
So Aaron, let's talk a little bit about the actual process. So let's say I'm coming in from Charlotte or Raleigh or DC or wherever it is, and I'm driving into town. My first stop should be where?
You're going to be in that Minji's complex up there near the stadium, but it is the basketball setup, and you're going to park there in sort of an open area, so you're not near the residence halls yet. You're going to stop in, get some information and your keys. Your student's going to bring their ID and hopefully the knowledge of where they live, walk in, get in the right line, get their keys and some additional information, sign some paperwork. There's going to be some other information tables up there for you to check out as a parent while you're waiting for them to do that, or even have your student do that. And then you're going to wind your way out, and then you're going to take all of your cars, namely if you have hopefully no more than two, but your student's car and the car that you got as parents to head back home. You take those two cars and you're going to queue up in a special line, and that information is going to be, the student's going to have that. It's also going to be posted there. There's codes, so it's not just going to be listing the building. There's a quick code that you're going to be able to identify. For example, all the College Hill East buildings is CHE, College Hill East. So if you're in one of those buildings, you're going to see CHE. You're going to grab your cars, move down to the row, and they're going to join a line of cars waiting to be released to CHE. And those we will release when those parking spots are available. So you're not just driving. We found before we did this, we had people just circling campus, and parents were saying, this is my 4th time going around in the same circle. Well, that ain't great. But you might wait in a little car line for a little while until you're released. When you're released, you'll be given a move-in permit, and that move-in permit is for that time. That has the instructions of how to get to that lot that you're going to be doing your move-in at, and then also how to go to the remote lot that your car can be stored for the rest of the day. And those are a little further away. They're walkable to the buildings that you're going to be checking into, but they're just a little further away. Also, our transit system will be running that day if you need that help as well.
A couple of things that I've learned over the years, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but one, if you have learned all this great information from today and you just decide, well, I'll just go straight to my hall, somebody's going to turn you around and send you back. So that first trip won't work.
You will need that move-in permit, or they will not let you into the lot.
Correct. The second piece is make sure you have gas in your car. Make sure that you're not going to pull in and sit there and maybe wait a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're going to run out of gas. It's going to be hot.
Yeah.
Then the third one is, there's water stations throughout locations. It's going to be hot. Take advantage of that opportunity that goes with it. Bailey, I want to come to you with some things that people like to pack the world
Yes.
into a space that is not big enough to fit the world of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Give me some of the things that people probably need to make sure they leave home, maybe because you've already provided them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think of a lot of kitchen supplies. I would see a lot of students trying to maybe bring in an extra refrigerator, but here in Campus Living at ECU, we provide you with your refrigerator and microwave already in the room, so you do not need to bring that. We have one for both you and your roommate to share. I would say any candles, anything that is potentially considered a fire hazard in the residence hall. Even wax warmers are not allowed. So please be mindful of that, what not to bring.
So a good guideline for that is if it glows, it goes. So if it's something that you can see that burns hot, then it's going to be a fire issue for us, and it is not permitted, and it generally would show up on our items not to bring to campus.
Yeah, I have a lot of students ask about Keurigs, and those are allowed in your residence hall. We know students enjoy and really love their coffee.
So one of the things, again, we mentioned this before, the Campus Living website, campusliving.ecu.edu, is going to be a great resource. On that page, they've got a what to bring, a what to leave at home, and some other optional things. Definitely check that list out before you get moving. Throughout the years, we've evolved this process. Bill, and I'm going to come to you. It's a lot better now than in years past, but by no means is this going to be perfect. So where should people go if they have questions or concerns that come up throughout the day? How should they handle that? Because it's going to happen.
Our staff will be wearing staff shirts on that day, and so one of the things that as a resource, you should always be able to find someone from the Residence Life staff. Any of our staff who are at the check-in location can answer almost any question that you would have relative to needing to arrive on campus and get settled. The coordinators in the building also are great resources on that day, or even when you're on the floor to find the RA, because your student's RA will be on the floor on that day as well.
Can you, anybody that wants to talk about the number of volunteers and people that'll be out and about? There'll be church groups, all types of community groups. There'll be people from campus. The chancellor will be out there at Green Hall on Thursday. Talk about some of the groups that are coming up. What will they be able to do? How will they pull up to somebody's car? Will they come? How will that work?
Depending on where they're doing that check-in is going to be talking about the involvement. Two areas that we typically do a little bit more intense volunteer time and also a little intense more getting your stuff out of your car quicker are what we call West End, which is Clement, White, and Green Halls, because those lots are very small and we need to get folks moving, and then Umstead as well. So those will be, hey, we're going to help you get this on a cart, let's get them out of it. And then in other situations, they're just going to be volunteers wandering. They'll have gold shirts on, and they'll be there. And if you're unloading and you say, well, we're just going to need a few extra hands, those volunteers are going to be happy to help. And really, it is amazing. It's everything from sports teams to university administrators to local churches and organizations, and it is the full gamut. And they're just here to help greet our students, and it's a great part of that experience. So look for those gold shirts. They're there to help. They're not there to be your beast of burden, though. So this is not valet service. So feel free to grab the bags alongside them and grab a few of them to help out. But they're there to be that supplement. People ask about carts and equipment. We have some on campus. Actually, we have quite a bit, but there's a lot of people moving in. So if you want to bring your own hand cart or that beach wagon that you use or something like that, that's certainly not going to hurt you to have that on hand. Then you're not waiting for us to get you one. So those are things that can help you part of that move in. For students that are bringing tubs and a lot of boxes, a box and a tub is going to look a lot like other box and tub that the student next door has. So make sure that you're putting names or taping your name or your banner ID or some sort of identifying information on all your stuff, because that's going to just be helpful. If you get separated for just a minute, that pile of Rubbermaid tubs is going to look like somebody else's pile of Rubbermaid tubs. So that can really be helpful to have that information as well.
So the name of the residence hall, their name on it?
Yeah,
anything
like,
else?
Jones Hall 105, Bob Miller.
Yeah, their room number is a huge thing. Making sure that your room number is labeled on any belongings is very helpful.
So, I'm trying to look. Sorry, we got a question coming in. Is that one?
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine told me that her daughter and she were in line for almost 2 hours. Is that a realistic timeline? What is a timeline? You talked about the queue and some of the other process. Maybe
We've tweaked that a little
Yeah.
bit, and we're hoping that will not be true. That's why we have done some additional breakdowns of the schedule. Certainly, sometimes at peak times, things can happen that are even outside of our control. Rain, weather, a traffic accident across town. And so people do expect to have the queue for a little while, but if it becomes a problem that they're queuing for a longer time, our staff are responding. You got to know our staff are responding to it and working to fix that problem as soon as we can. So it's a little hard to communicate at that time to all of you. We can't take over your radios. We can't fly by, whatever else. But the thing is you got, just like Bill was saying too, we are responding to any of those issues when they come up.
Yeah, I think in past years especially, many people have created their own lines, and so we're over there in the morning at 6:30 getting set up, and there are already parents and students there, and we've established our first time that someone can get keys is 8:30 in the morning. And so don't create your own wait time by deciding if I come earlier, I will get serviced earlier. Our starting time is 9 o'clock. The doors will not open till 9 o'clock. There's no advantage to you being there before 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so don't create your own wait time and your own frustrations as a part of that.
Yeah, some of you that travel, like you go to a certain airline and you get there early, you get a closer, better seat, or a cruise, if you get there early, you might get on the boat quick. That's not this.
Yeah. My favorite joke is there is no fruit basket for somebody who arrives in the room first. Because the thing is, there always seems to be that if I get in the room first, I'm going to get more closets. Well, hopefully you're negotiating those things with your roommate anyway.
And I think, once again, a thing to stress with that is you drop and unload and then move your car to the designated spaces that we have on campus, because it's going to help you and it's going to help everybody else moving into those buildings too.
If you leave your car for 2 hours in a space, that means that nobody else can use that space. And honestly, if you move your vehicle after you unload it, in 2 hours' time, we can have about 8 people use that space. And so we need the help of everyone who comes in order to make the process move smoothly.
Most definitely.
So just a reminder, if you're watching the live edition right now, feel free. We've got folks that are responding to questions as you're posting them in there. I can see them coming in, and they're doing a great job of responding to them. If you have a question for our panel, we got about 5 more minutes in the live edition. Then archive, keep putting your questions in there, and we'll respond to them as we get there. So let me get some on the humorous side. What's a funny move-in story that over the course of time has still stuck or resonated in your head that you remember?
Oh, I have one because I'm worried about it for this weekend. So one of the things that's unique about move-in is the weather. And a couple of years ago, we had weather that was like 80 degrees and a light breeze and no humidity. We've had weather on move-in that's 98 degrees with afternoon thunderstorms. And one of the things that you have to be prepared for is the weather on that day. It's how you dress, it's how you're going to behave, it's how you plan. We're going to try to help you with water and other kinds of things. But if you want the easiest move-in possible, if it starts raining, keep moving. What typically happens is no one wants to get out of a vehicle if it rains. And if we have a 45-minute thunderstorm and everyone stops moving, that's why somebody might then have to wait for a very long time in order to get into a space and then to make it work.
Yeah. And kind of put it this way, the weather when you come to move in will not be much different than when you were here for orientation. It's about the same in June, July as it will be in August. Bailey, anything that sticks in your head?
I think I have seen a lot of homemade and built shelves in different fun containers, which I think are awesome, but I've also seen them not fit into the doorway. So also be mindful that you are moving into a standard size door and room. And I just saw the disappointment of a beauty of a creation that was made, and so that was disheartening, but just be mindful of that when you're moving in.
Aaron?
My favorite, or one of the more interesting, it's not favorite at all, is some poor father or brother or group of guys, sometimes even a mom, or it doesn't really matter, who I saw earlier in the day moving in some gigantuan piece of luggage or piece of item or shelf unit or something else, and then you see them at the end of the day bringing it back out because it really doesn't fit in the room. Even if like they just decided they didn't want this here anymore. And so it's really just sort of think about, first thing is a lot of things can be bought here in Greenville. We have a lot of questions about sizes and all, and some of we get standard sizes for a lot of things, but there's a lot of individual sizes to rooms. There's some unique, particularly some of our historic halls are very unique. Every room is unique. There's not a measurement from one to the other that changes. So it's a lot easier sometimes to arrive here, get the measurement for yourself, and decide if you really need it, and then go buy it here in Greenville. We appreciate it. The local economy appreciate it. This was not paid by the local Chamber of Commerce, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
You can buy it here, that we have all the stores that you would expect to have to supply your room, but don't bring it and then be walking out with it later on, because that's always a very disappointing moment for a parent when they're walking stuff when you see them leaving with as much stuff as they brought into the
Yeah.
room.
And I think,
yeah,
I'm,
go ahead. No,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry, Chris. I think a great point that Aaron brings up that I see a lot of students is if you are planning on going home sometime throughout this semester, such as fall break or Thanksgiving break, recognize that you can bring seasonal clothes if you are in closer proximity or distance. I think that is really helpful for students with the space and really being able to change it out if you have plans throughout this semester. So I would consider that.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go. So you were reading my mind. I was going to say, you've got mom and dad maybe coming for Parents Weekend, which will be in a couple of weeks, and put in a plug for Emily Lynn,
Yeah.
September 21st, 2nd, the 21st, 22nd, that weekend. Go to the website for that so you can get tickets for the
Coming to
tailgate.
many great ECU football games.
You've got football games, you're going to have fall break, you'll have Thanksgiving, plenty of times for
Labor
you.
Day weekend, which is just a couple of weeks
That's
away.
right. So there'll be plenty of times to kind of switch that wardrobe out.
Absolutely.
You don't need a
Yes.
sweater in August.
Yeah.
No, but you do need an umbrella. I
Yes.
will tell you, I see a lot of students forget to bring some rain gear, and so I highly recommend bringing rain gear because we still go to classes in the rain as well.
We do see that. Once in a while they'll be like, are you canceling class? No, it's just raining.
I'll talk about bikes real quick. Though.
Yeah, I was going to say that one of my saddest things. So when you talk about funny things, there's some sad things. It's parents and families who think that their child needs to have a bike on campus, and they park the bike and it never gets moved the entire year, and they spend several $100s for that. The rule of thumb is if your student doesn't ride a bike today, they're not going to learn to ride a bike once they come here. But there also is a bike share program here that if they want to grab a bike, they can, and so there's no need for that really truly casual use person to bring a bike. If your student really rides a bike, they do it now for either exercise or enjoyment, or they use it to travel around your own city, then you probably want to bring it. But if you don't have to, that's one of those unnecessary things that complicates moving.
Aaron, we talked about things that are on the website. Again, campusliving.ecu.edu. We got the move-in schedule. Definitely look at that. The move-in guide, what not to bring, and so forth. Two of the other things that I see on there, I think come up a lot, is people interested in lofts.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something I'll let you talk about how that works, and then linens and stuff. So if you don't mind, touch on those two.
Well, those are a little late now. So lofts, you're past the ordering date, but if you find that you're interested in a loft one here, they typically have them available, and they'll still work with you. They will be on site on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. If you call into their website, they'll let you know how they connect with staff, and you can still get a bed lofted. Also, a lot of parents ask about that. If you want to sort of what we call sort of informally around here mini lofting, that's putting all of our beds are adjustable, so you can put that bed at its maximum height and then use the UL listed bed lifts that are available, Target, Bed Bath, and beyond, lots of different places. That puts the bed up at a height that you can usually get a dresser underneath there, or a lot of storage. Remember those big Rubbermaid containers that you move in with are also helpful for storing those things under the bed or even on top of the wardrobe if you have a wardrobe or in a closet space. So those tubs might stay in the room as storage spots for the students. The other thing about linens is it's twin, extra long, readily available at all the stores. I just rambled off, and I expect a check back from them. But you get the idea that you haven't gotten your linens that do that. A lot of students ask about the mattress. It is a vinyl mattress, so some sort of crate, the egg crate kind of material, or some sort of mattress pad is usually helpful for comfort. And that's just a little added thing.
Don't let them say useful. It's essential for comfort.
Yeah,
let's not kid anyone at this
Yeah.
moment.
Need something.
But that does mean that the mattress is got some protection for that it is a vinyl mattress. We get them wiped down, and it's there for the students.
Yes. So we're going to begin to wrap up here, but I want to get some either some closing thoughts from you or last minute tips that have popped into your head that we want to make sure we get out there. So I'll start with Aaron and work my way back to Bill.
Well, certainly, if there is a situation where things are not going the way that you hoped in terms of move-in, let us know, like some of the staff, or let us know how we can intervene, because we can only really help you in that circumstance if we're aware of the situation. And that can be really helpful because, like I said, if you feel like you're waiting too long, or you feel like something wasn't prepared in the room, give us an opportunity to make a correction. If we can, we have over 2,000 rooms on campus, and they're all going to be checked multiple times, but still something could be not right, and we want to have an opportunity to fix that, and we will do our best to fix it if it's fixable. So just let us know about issues and concerns as they are happening, and not like 3 weeks later saying we were really disappointed with move-in and nobody was there to respond. Let us know what's happening.
Bailey?
So we've mentioned that there is a lot of chaos and different things going on.
Organized chaos.
Organized chaos, right, thank you. But I want to remind you to have fun and enjoy the moments that are happening as you're moving on to ECU. There's so many awesome events and just different celebrations that are going on throughout move-in week, and so I hope that you and your students are able to enjoy those. And we're here as staff members to help you with anything too.
Yep.
Yeah, Erin had mentioned about getting things locally. The one thing I would suggest, though, it is about planning and thinking through the process ahead of time and packing it in a way that makes sense for you to make it easier for you. You're going to want to get the carpet down before you start putting the beds together. You're going to want to make sure you get the linens on the beds, and then so organize in your head. Now, if you have to run out to get things locally, we would encourage you to do that at the end of the day, not try to do that in the middle of the process. You're going to be trying to get a car against traffic and get all sorts of things to happen that aren't going to be easily accomplished for you. And so if you forget something and you need to go out shopping, wait till the end of the day, go get it at that point in time. There will be food available on campus. The dining halls are open Tuesday from 10 o'clock until 9 o'clock, and that would be Tuesday through Friday actually, so meals start right away and parents can go in there. There'll be a Starbucks truck up at move-in the morning on each Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, so that if you need to get your coffee while you're getting ready to get going, you'll be able to do that. And we do hope that you have fun. We hope that you enjoy yourself, and it ends up being a great start for your student as they begin the year.
And I'll jump in as we wrap up and say one of the other things, my tip is bring a lot of patience with you as you come. That's not just patience with us as the staff as we're trying to help, but also parents and families with your student, right? This is that transition period for them, and for some it's very easy. Maybe it's the third or fourth kid that you've got going to school. For many of you, maybe your very first child that's going to school. So bring a lot of patience with you. We're here to help, and we're going to get through this as one big happy Pirate family. So thank you for being with us. If you have more questions, you're watching this on the archived edition, keep them coming in and we'll get back to you with answers. Until then, we'll see you at Move-In.